A bit about my background. Going way back, there was the University of Florida, accounting degree, Price Waterhouse for 6 years, an entrepreneur. But it wasn't until about 7 years ago that I had this idea for an adventurers club on the internet, a club for the adventure of life, for those who see living in the jungles of time and space as a creation amongst our own creations as the ultimate adventure. And that's approximately when I started writing, for the first time ever, notes from the universe, which were simply designed to be a simple little brief email that kind of sparked enlightenment, new thinking, with a twist of humor, to help people who perhaps were about to face another day at the office or at home where the walls might be closing in and they would temporarily be forgetting their magnificence, their divinity, their power, and their reach. So these little emails, these notes from the universe, were designed to be a reminder service, if you will, to members of my online adventurers club. In the beginning, my little weekly and then daily emails were not called Notes from the Universe. Originally, there was only the Monday Morning Motivator. Then there was the daily Silver Bullet, designed to pierce through the illusions around you. But a lot of people kind of complained that, silver bullets are known for other things than sparking enlightenment. And so I knew I needed to change the name. I needed a hook, something to make it fun and appealing. And as I knew this, something else was happening kind of on the side, and that was I was aware, after having written for months on a daily basis, that there were things I just could not say to people from the mere mortal perspective, from Mike talking to you, because, Mike's a stranger to virtually everyone on my mailing list. And so it dawned on me that if I took on the persona of the universe, I'd be able to say things from an entirely different perspective. And lo and behold, it made for the unexpected opportunity to introduce a twist of humor, not to all of them, but to a good share of the notes from the universe. If a complete stranger was to write you a daily silver bullet and signed off, "You rock," Mike Dooley, that's like, well, who's Mike Dooley? Where do you get off telling me this? That's not even funny. But if the universe writes you and every now and then says, "You rock the universe," even there immediately you can see there's kind of room for humor, and it's a whole different flavor. And so I used to send those out on Fridays only, and I did that for 2 or 3 months, and I had so much fun when Fridays would come and I could write from the perspective of the universe and, seeing the humor evolve, etc., that finally one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to can these silver bullets and can the Monday Morning Motivators, and I began writing exclusively as the universe. And gosh, that was a good 6 years ago, a good 1,500 notes ago, and we've just done a tally. That was over 115 million emails ago. The ideas for each of the notes kind of come about in a magical way. I don't ever sit down and think, okay, today I'm going to write about gratitude, or today I'm going to write about the end result. Instead, the whole process for creating a note from the universe for me is really a metaphor for how I speak to audiences about creating any kind of change in their life. Or you could say it's a metaphor for how the universe often talks through these notes about creating change. Number one, I have an end result in mind. Number two, I move in its general direction. This is how anybody can live in abundance, or how anybody else could write notes from the universe. So the end result for me is not a specific how or topic. It's always that emotional joy I feel that overcomes me when I believe I've written a great note. I know that woohoo feeling, and my hands are pumping over my head, and I'm laughing out loud, and that's how I start out my little kind of process of writing a new note. I begin with a little visualization where I feel the joy of having written a really superb note. After I've kind of focused on that emotion for a minute or two, I then power up the computer and start typing. I start moving in the general direction of the end result, and I just write the first things that come to my mind. And often, in fact, usually, they make no sense, and I have no idea of how the note could or will finish. But that's true in life. We have no idea very often how our feeble little baby steps will result in abundance or a new relationship or better health. But yet, if we at least take those steps, then the universe and life's magic can reach us. And so this is true when I start writing. I have one idea followed by another idea followed by a burst of inspiration, and the next thing I know, the note from the universe is finished. I can remember back to when I was 12, 13, and 14 years old, I had this huge, insatiable desire to understand, I guess you could call it the nature of reality. I wanted to know what ghosts were. I wanted to know what happened when we died. I wanted to know how we got here, what we could do with it. And the powers of the mind always fascinated me. So for no explainable reason, it was a part of my childhood that I was looking for answers, for the fun of it, so that I could live a better, happier, funner, more playful life. And that search for answers brought answers, and I would say by the time I was 20, I had in my possession the answers to all of my own questions about reality. And from that point till this very day, my life has been about living those answers, incorporating the truth. And totally unexpected by me, at some point, really when I was an entrepreneur, I used to kind of write about life, dreams, and happiness 17 years ago for T-shirts and gifts, our own company. And then 7 years ago, I started writing full-time without regard to gifts and other things, and sending my messages out by email or recording them in audio programs, etc. And so it was almost accidental that I became what you might call now a teacher. But it's still the same kind of passion. I still have the same kind of passion I had when I was much younger, wanting to know the truth, and now it's a passion for sharing the truth as I still learn to incorporate it in my life. Each of the notes are kind of self-contained. One does not require another. There's no hierarchy or necessarily no importance to the sequence that they appear in, which kind of lends the notes, or I should say the book and the audio book, to being the kind of tool that one can refer to, kind of grab the book or plop in the CD, and just by randomly flipping to a page or to a track on the recording, very often you'll hear exactly what it is you most wanted to hear. And this has been really the most uncanny thing about the notes that still go out, of course, from Tut.com, and that is the emails that pour in every single day from all over the world from people who are shocked and astounded at how incredibly relevant the note is that they received at that point in time for exactly what was going on in their life. And we have found the same exact thing is true already with the book, that if somebody has an issue or a problem or a question in mind before they open randomly to a certain page, invariably, in reading that page, there will be some applicable piece of wisdom to exactly what's going on in their mind with the question that they held. So it's a powerful tool, and I think my honest opinion is much more is happening that makes this possible than meets the eye. Time and space, or living life in the jungles of time and space, is not what it appears to be. Things are not black and white. Things are not as concrete as our physical senses show us. We are creators. And when it comes to shared creations like the weather or like a book on a coffee table or an email even that many people are receiving, we are in those terms co-creators. And so as mind-boggling as this is, I think that not only do we create the book that's in our hand, or at least serve as a co-creator of the book that's in our hand, but so too do we create the serendipities that make possible us turning to a page that contains a note that's meaningful to us. And beyond that, so too does each reader have a hand in writing the notes, which would make any mind boggle 3 or 4 times. It's not important that we understand that right now. What's important is that we all deal with what's on our plate in life, striving to be as happy as we possibly can, because this is where enlightenment and joy and good things can come into our lives and the lives of those we most care about.